Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Design Disruption. This is a podcast and webcast series that we've brought to you over the last few years. It has its genesis during the pandemic when the world was facing one of its biggest challenges. In this podcast, we explore how architecture and design can tackle some of the great challenges of our times, like climate change, inequality, the housing crisis. And we do this through chats with visionaries like architects, designers, planners, and thinkers who are putting forward creative solutions and reimagining the way urban life is and the future of built environment. I am Pratima Manohar, and I'm so thrilled to bring this conversation to you with my colleague Sam Lubell. Sam?
Thank you, Pratima. Really a pleasure to be back doing these with you. Always enjoy it, and really excited to get feedback from the community and just get this going again. And today we have a really special guest. Our guest today is Mario Cucinella. He's an Italian architect. Hi, Mario.
Hello. Hi.
Mario is an Italian architect. He's founder of Mario Cucinella Architects, which is based in Milan and Bologna. And I first met Mario a few years ago at the Salone in Milan, and I was immediately very impressed with his approach, which I find very, very thoughtful, and really incorporating a deep reservoir of knowledge. And what we're going to talk about today is something I really appreciate about his work, which is sort of blending really rigorous research that's working on high technology, but also incorporating traditional craft. And with that sustainability, and really bringing kind of a sense of humanity to a really dynamic tech-based approach. So Mario, really a pleasure to have you today.
Yeah, it was. Thank you very much. I think it was nice to see you both and starting this nice conversation. Yeah, very nice. Happy.
Yeah, well, really a pleasure. And so I think I'm interested in talking to you, just kind of diving in. Because I've got to tour a few of your projects, including the Ravati Foundation recently, which really are great examples of this approach to sort of merging the high tech and sort of some of the things that we all know, CNC, 3D printing, AI, all these incredible advancements that are going on, which are important to the field, but not kind of losing sight of tradition and craft and sort of what makes architecture so special and human and brings in literally centuries of knowledge. So I'm wondering how you sort of, first of all, I want to ask you how this approach on your end sort of evolved and developed. And then maybe you can, sort of walk us through a few good examples for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for this introduction. And I think architecture has something to do with the human nature. I think is something really related to our sense. So I think there is strong connection with the technology and the attention with the technique, how to make things. But the results in the end, I think must be a sort of emotion. There must be something that you're creating a sort of a feeling with your body, with your sense. That is, I think, the goal of architecture. And exactly what we all remember in our life, our memory. Our memory are, related with our lovers, our family, but many of our memory is about cities, a place, museum, a square, the chaotic of a city or the scenography of a city. A lot of emotion coming from that, because we really creating this kind of empathy between us and buildings. Because I always say buildings are not nature. The nature is another thing. But building our culture, and it's representing ourselves, and that's why I think also if you go to India or if you go in China, you go in place very different. Where not come from, where you not come from there, but you're still feeling the human nature. They make an effort to represent themselves with so beautiful buildings, beautiful handcraft colors, and like I remember being in Jaipur. and many places in India that you really feel the building connecting with the wind, or building connecting with the blue colors, or the step wells. The design building fantastic undergrounds, because they really try to find this connection with climate, no, which is one of the major problems in many places. And but in the same time, climate is not a technical, only a technical issue. It's also the way people living in the shadow, no, and they stay together in the step well. Is you go from the super light, like a glare and hot, and then you go down, and then you find this kind of a quiet place in the shadow, and there is a cooler. So it's more than only a climate problem. It's really the well-being of people. No? So I think we need to come back to the idea the architecture is something to make people better, feel better. No, that's what we lost a little bit in these chaotic cities. No, now we all discuss in Europe, and I'm sure everywhere in the world. The city was a dream, and then they become a nightmare. So now we need to work a little bit how to make a better city, make it more green, and make less car, and then we want to use more public transport. We don't want to spend hours in the car to go work. So I think it was a dream. No, because that was like what's happened now was the machine technology. Then we dreaming. You remember films like the Fritz Lang film Metropolis, 1920. The city was like fly over cars, and the building very high, the people little plane, and then you see the picture today is exactly the same dream, but now it's a nightmare. So I
Right.
think I think the work we have in front of us is like to find again this kind of equilibrium, this kind of a friendship with nature, but not only nature like it green, but human nature, because that's the
Right.
sense of the city, is how we living together.
That's wonderfully put. And I think I couldn't agree more with your assessment of our kind of diving headlong into technology and the future, but sort of forgetting our humanity and forgetting nature
Yeah,
is a failure. But I do want to talk about some of your specific projects. I recently visited the Rovati
mm,
Foundation in Milan with you, and its incredible collection of Etruscan and also contemporary art. And maybe you can talk to me about how you managed to sort of create that sort of sense of humanity and nature, but while using really advanced technologies to make it
yeah.
really incredible.
Well, but before talk about the architecture and the space, is the story about the Etrurian art. In this museum, there are pieces of art that are 2,500 years ago. And then the major of the piece of art, like a vase, a statue, a object, was designed and produced by Etrurian to to help people for their journey to another life. They already believe there was a paradise. You're not dead. You just go in another place. So all the tension of art was connecting with this last breathe. Then we finish to breathe, and then you jump in another dimension. I was so fascinated by this idea of the effort of the design object was really to help people to this journey. And the only architectural remain from Etrurian, they're not anymore city. There are something, but just some sign on the grass, only the stones, but not buildings. But was the tomb of the families. There was like a dome. There was building a dome, and then was a little house. To make people in some way back at home. So I thought this kind of a place which is a silence where there's a stones. It's a sort of a no space, no time. Then these objects they are back in this kind of a context. So we thought to do this kind of a tree dome, which actually was also a reference home when I was young to study Franco Albini, the Italian architects in Milan. He's designed a
Mm.
beautiful small museum in Genoa. I Tesori di San Lorenzo. It was a little museum about few objects. And so the idea was it's underground museum. So you go down, and then it's completely made with one material, which is the limestone, the gray limestone, which coming from the Apennine here between Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna. No? And there are 29,000 pieces, they're all designed, and then creating this kind of a cave, And then when you go inside, is the relation with the object is not like typical of archaeological museum, which is almost the time very boring, If you don't know the story of the object, after a while you don't understand. So I try to make this connection between the emotion of the space, which is tell you something about the stories, and the object. So you connecting the story of the object with the place, which is not common, especially for archaeological museum. So you can only go also to see the space. You don't need to go only to see the object, because really the feeling is this stone is around you and is super well designed. And there was some little detail, like you see from the picture, there's no any technical equipment, and nothing there.
Right.
Because the air of this museum is go through the stone, so it's a gap between the stone, the 3 millimeters. So the building is breathing, the air go in and then go through the stone. So this kind of a perfection, is remember me the ancient building where there was no any technology visible. So I thought that was a way to connecting ourselves to that time. But also the sound, space is not only visual, it's not only about the dimension, but also about the sound, I always take an example. If you go walking in Venice, the way you talk, the way you walk, the sound of your shoes are completely different than you go in Milan, because under the stone is the water and sometimes is the wood, So I think that I can be in Venice with my eyes closed, and I know I'm in Venice because I know the sound of my walk. I think this is a perception that you are in a special place. So in the museum, in the dome, a problem with the dome is the sound going in the center, and creating a sort of an echo, So I asked to engineer it to make something, an imperfection, because I like the idea that people walking in the space and they can feeling the whisper, you say, just you feel the other people talking, because that's the characteristic of this space. I don't want the perfection. I like this imperfection. Then you feel I'm underground, under the stone. And then I feel the other people talking a little bit, just because the dome is reflecting the sound. So it's a really specific of that geometry, And then also the in this kind of a soft environment, because the stone is all around, the geometry is very, I say, soft, And then the exhibit, they are very sharp, like a piece of crystal inside of a stone, very sharp, And then there are suspended objects. You can see they are suspended because there is a glass between the object and the ground. You don't really see how they can floating, because there are between the earth and the paradise is in the middle. It's something that ready for traveling to another space. And I think the people really. Well, I was very happy because they were very success in terms of perception of people. The people go a few times to see to get this kind of a feeling of the space.
Right.
I think that's what connects human with architecture.
And you've talked about this incredible combination of sort of, obviously you're taking these from an ancient quarry that
Yes.
sculptors from the Renaissance used, and you're creating a sort of a tomb-like effect from Etruscan or Etrurian days, and you're creating these incredible feelings and emotions. But you're doing it. Maybe take us through in very high-tech ways. You're not doing the classical kind of carving out, with hand picks. You're doing some really. So maybe take us through the technology that's involved in making this possible.
Yeah, well, behind of the stone there are steel frame, and all the stone there are long is 1 meter and 20 centimeter long, and they are attached behind with some clips, so they are not touching together. They are all suspended, which is mean if you start with the first stone from one side, you need to reconnecting the stone in the end of the museum. No? So it's a very precise work, really a millimeters work. But then adding this and get this gap between the stone, you really feel, no, this air, the movement, and then it was a challenge, you know. And the stone is coming from this area. It's the same that Michelangelo used in Florence and also Brunelleschi, no? Because all this Apennine from Tuscany and Emilia, between Bologna and Florence, no, is one stone in all these mountains, and the stone is inclinated of 13 degrees. No? So when you go working on that quarry, you know, there are people walking on this kind of a slope, you know, and they looking for the different colors depending on the depth of the excavation. No? So there was like a selection of the stone because you go deep, they change the colors, become darker. If you go too up, it become brown. So it's a very interesting. We went to the quarry. It's an amazing place. It's because it's an architecture. No? It's an excavation, huge, and there are so much stones to take it. And from I say 500 years ago, there's still all the Apennine you can using, no? But was so I like the idea that nobody understand that because when you go inside, you really see this kind of a perfection, no? And also the materials go everywhere, no? All the doors is in stones, and the stairs, everything is designed to be one material, and they just go up to the ground floor and just go up in the main entrance like I want to show you, then you need to come here, no? And then you'll be sucked inside of the museum. And then when you're walking down, you see the sound is completely changed from outside because between the gap and the back, the sound go in but doesn't go out. You know? So it's really an emotional space, and then the body really feel that.
Thank you, Mario. That was such a seductive, tactile way of describing architecture. And the next time I'm walking in Venice or Milan, I'm going to pay attention to the
Yeah.
sounds that make. I think that was such a very romantic way of describing urbanism almost. So thank you for that. I want to talk to you about um, your uh, project Tekla, which was the world's first 3D printed house, but was made from raw earth.
Yeah.
And it was actually showcased in COP26 to highlight ways built environment can actually reduce carbon footprint. So I want to kind of press you to talk to us about this project and especially talk to us about how vernacular architecture um, and materials can tackle 21st century challenges and the biggest challenge that we are facing today, which is climate change.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the Tekla was a question that we tried to make an answer. No? So the roadmap for the next 20, 30 years, at least in Europe, no, is 2050 is reducing 85% of the emission, no? Which is 40% is come from building. So it's a huge, a very ambitious plan. We all talk about the zero emission, zero impact, which is absolutely not true because the building they are built with material come from I don't know concrete, steel, aluminum.
Right.
So it's not made by bread. It's made by material they have work in industry. So I think that is we like to say the world we save the world and everything is zero, but it's not true. It's nice to say, but the reality is another one. But if somebody say we want to make a zero impact building, you know, what will be the answer? No? So then we say, well, 3D printing is only a machine, no? So we can do everything you want. But the point is not the machine and not the technique, it's about the material. No? So why we don't using the raw earth, which is a very long story in the humanity. You know, in many places in the world, I'm sure in India there are a lot, in Africa and in Italy, in France, in US, in Australia. That was the only material available from the past, no? And then I say, well, we really, I tell you, was like digging a hole in your garden and then putting on the machine. But the point is to do this kind of work. I'm saying it's not about the technology; it's about the digital code. How you to design that? Because when you're
Mm.
using raw earth, wet, it's not like
It's better.
it's not like compress, which is easy, and there are many examples. It's wet. So when you go curve like this, then you're just putting wet and soft, and then under it start to dry, up it start to wet. The two things doesn't match. It's really it was a great thing to do, because the wall is very thick. It's like a bone, it's all full of holes, and then the air go through, and then the shape is the maximum curve we can make before collapse. So that's why it's like this, and it's the shape then the earth you can put, avoiding then if you continues this curve a little bit, that will be collapsing inside. So all the work was there, and also is we said with the digital printing, it can print anything, any kind of shape. It's not an industrial design; is adapting design. So if we do that in Bologna, the latitude, the climate data is this kind of climate data. But if you do that in a tropical weather, the shape will be another one because we want to increase the ventilation. We don't want to close, we want to open. If I do in the desert, maybe it's another shape. If I do in the cold climate, it's completely changed. So what I'm saying is the data and the digital can be helped to shape to find the best solution in relation of the climate, which is we are completely forgot because we design building almost the same everywhere in the world. So that was a lesson from this experiment, and immediately the reaction was, "Wow, we're gonna make a city like this?" And no, we're not gonna make a city like this, because this is one step to do something. Maybe now we study another one. Maybe it's 2 floors. Maybe it's another shape. Maybe we find some other combination of material. Maybe we need to add a little bit of some additive to make the structure more solid, because earth, I mean, here the problem is raining. No, if you do in Africa, maybe it's raining one of the year, but if you do here, raining all the winter, and so they will be collapsing. No? So we need to adapt in the shape, and but it's a super high performance, because beautiful light and a super thick wall and cost very cheap.
How much did
And
it cost?
well, it was about 300 euro a square meter, so it was
Okay.
very cheap. And
300 euro a square meter
yes,
versus conventional architecture?
well, 2000.
Oof. Okay.
That's the price.
Okay.
But of course, it's not a conventional house. This is another things. But I
Yeah.
tell you something. When I was there, when it was finished, I was away. I was not follow all the construction moment. Then I went when it was finished, and opened the door, and then, as I told you in the beginning, the body is like a remember in our DNA when we're living in the earth. Hey,
Right.
Yeah.
your body. I don't know. For me, it was a amazing emotion because I get the feeling, the smell, the sound. You're really feeling that there's something in our human nature in the past. Something in our
The
history.
connection with the earth, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
connection.
this is a beautiful space. I was asking
Yeah,
Sam if he was able to go and visit, but yeah, if this is just
yeah. It's
it's a
it's
moving
yeah. It's
space.
yeah. It's a great. It's mini. Is a one bedroom and living room, a little bathroom. There's a plenty space for two people want to live in somewhere. But that was only to show people. That's why the success of this project is to show that it's possible to do something different, because they're printing already a lot of house, but they're printing in concrete, which is mean instead to using scaffoldings and other things, they're using a machine to pour the concrete. But Okay, and then they make the same shape of villa as before. So, what the point of using
Yeah.
a printing if you not change the shape also and adapting the shape to climate? So, I think
So,
that's what the lesson of this project. That is
so
only.
did this because the way this project was conceived, it was going to be 3D printed with raw earth. Was your process to kind of conceptualize this, envision this different somehow?
What you mean for the next or for this
No,
one?
when you were when you were
Okay, okay.
envisioning the project or conceptualizing it,
Well,
it was going to be a 3D printed raw earth
yeah.
building.
Well,
But was the
we
process
working.
different from conventional
Yes.
buildings that you built?
Well, I must be honest. We are working with this guy, which is with Moretti, which is the owner of the printer and the company who producing printing. And he was a little bit crazy, in terms of vision. He's a visionary person. He said, "Oh, we must do a bigger printer. We send the printer in Africa, and then they can build themselves." So I think it was also the idea that the new technology they must be using also to be more have a more social impact, because you don't today we send the containers, we send a lot of material in some area of the world where in many places in the world this earth is available. Technology has become very simple because you can have a code, you have a code for latitude, and then you can choose your code and you're adapting and then you're printing. I think it was a little bit visionary things, and I was also uh, I was fascinated by plants. No, I always say to, especially in the conference, say plants are in the planet from 450 million years. That is plants. Sapiens, Homo sapiens is only 300,000 years. So the gap between us and plants in terms of adapting climate is 450 millions. No? So I maybe we have something to learn from plants. No? How the plants was adapting, and plants, I always say the future of course is in front of us but we don't see. But sometimes we need to look around, maybe plants can tell us something, some solution for adaptation or some solution about how plant adapting to climate, hot climate or arid climate, or in the wet climate, which kind of a how they know, So, and I always bring an example of the cactus, the roundy one. The roundy one shape is in very desert area. There's no water in the ground. There's no water on the land. Nothing in the earth is dry. The shape is made the plant not to be always under sun. Half the plant is under shade, and especially the leaves are triangular. So half of the leaves, between the leaves, is a sort of a little canyon, but it's always under shade, which is mean temperature is different inside and outside. The air move in the plants, and then the top of the cactus is very white by little spine, because it's the point where the sun is hot, is reflecting more the light and reducing the absorption of energy. But also there's a full of spine, for the two reasons. One is against the animal they want because are juicy they want to eat, but the most important thing is because the spine it catch the water in the air. When they change temperature, the little drops of water is condensed in the top of the spine, and this drop go inside the plant. And that's why the plant survive in its so arid context. And the question is how the plant know. How they know. How they make the shape and catch the water with the spine. So they take maybe a million years to do that, but maybe we can learn something, when you design a building about the shading, the shape, the adapting to climate. So we have a full of opportunities, of creativity opportunity by looking around us.
I
That's
love that idea of learning that way, and I love how this kind of architecture brings us to the sort of concept of this is also a level of biophilia here, that we're meant to be surrounded by nature, and that's why that feels so good. But that's just how it's in our DNA. We're programmed to be that way.
Absolutely.
But another question just came up from one of our listeners, or viewers, I should say, at this point. The question of, when you're bringing digital printing in, how do you deal with the possibility that sort of removes human participation? Humans that are already very skilled in some, maybe some of these areas where you're bringing this in. How do you kind of deal with the possibility that you're sort of removing the human element, the human participation in building, or can there be a balance between the two?
Well, this is not a robot, like you just sending a machine and themselves they do it. You need a human participation. You need to working on this program, that you need adapting the program. So maybe it'll change a little bit, but also to put that dome on the land, you need to prepare the soil. Then it's not finished by printing. No, you need to do the windows and things. So there are many other things to do.
Right.
The point is, maybe with the human participation, I think is more about the design. So how we can make it in that climate, how we can adapting. And I always dreaming to have a sort of a little sort of a trolley. Then you open the trolley, then have your little computers, then you have all the data, and they say, well, we are 38 north latitude, and then look at what's happening in that latitude. And this kind of a context, what's happening? Well, very easy. So today it's so easy to get information. And then it is a real moment of collective design and then we know what is the maximum shape we can do it with the printer, and then it's a design process. And then part of will be built with this machine. But to build, you need to select the earth, then you need to prepare it. So it's a lot of human activity. It's not like a robotic, you leave the machine and then you're back and it's done. It's not like this. It's a lot of work involved.
That's a really, really good point. It also sort of brings up the question about this technique is not easy to do, because it takes a lot of obviously patience and skill, but it also takes a lot of expertise. So I'm wondering, sort of this merger of craft and tradition with technology, who you pull together in your own firm to make these kinds of projects happen. If do you kind of work with consultants that are kind of artisans? Do you have tech experts that come in? Do you have them in-house? Like, what is the combination of expertise that you have to sort of make this possible in your firm?
Well, the office have a unit called research and development. So they only work in get information and do research in 3D printing. Now we do another project in 3D printing, which is kind of amazing. It's a small thing. It's only 15 square meter. So it's a box. It's a ticket place for the Valle dei Templi in Sicily to access to the Greek Roman temple in the south.
Yeah.
But we do with a little brick. It's a shape kind of very strange, and we do using material come from the waste of ceramic industry. The people make a toilet, like a WC or bidet or washing, bathing, but they always something is broken, and you can't sell it, so they throw away. So it's a company say, okay, I take it, and they broken in small pieces because it's very good material. They using powder, and then we're printing this kind of a brick. And then the brick is connecting one each other, so you don't need to make any specific structure. And we build this as an example of research. Sorry, there's still a mosquito in my house. And we do research. We do some prototype. We try. We see what's happened. We work with engineering to help us to see the structures, forces around this brick. And it's a little bit of experimentation, or what we call in the past was call empiric innovation. No, sometimes we want to know everything in the beginning, but it doesn't work like this. Sometimes you need to start the process, maybe make a mistake, and then we change some time. We do so many essay before to printing Tecla. So, that is the journey. It's so amazing, exciting. But of course, we're using people. But I like the idea that architects, they need to become a little bit engineer. They need to be a little bit more about building environment, how buildings work. It's not only an aesthetic point. I mean, aesthetic is one part of the story. But if you want to talk about sustainability and the low impact of the buildings, the zero impact, all this zero stuff, you can delegate other to do it, because a building's work by the design of a building. That is the technology. The technology is after. They always quantity survey. They told me if you make a mistake on design the building, technology help you only 50% of the solution. The other 50% is a mistake and remain a mistake. So what I'm saying is that when we talk about sustainability, is a design problem. Is the way you design your building. And in the past, when we're talking with Pratima before, with this little book about the future is the journey. The future is a journey to the past. It's not. I'm not nostalgic. I'm not. I don't say the past is better. It's not true. We live in much better now than before.
Hmm.
But I say, why there are people who was able to make amazing building with no energy, no computer, no information, no data, and they make a so fantastic building with this kind of a connection with climate because nothing else was available. Now we completely forgot what's around us and we focus in technology and architects. No, they take the work of architect was only a little part of the story. They make a design strange and extravagant and then nice to see on Instagram, but they don't know how these buildings work. But that's not the way to go in the sustainability direction. You can't do
No,
it.
I love the learning from the past. There's so much to learn, and it's not emphasized in architectural education, nor I think is kind of structure and engineering the way that maybe it could be, so that you
Yeah.
can learn from those things to make things that are just more human and more effective. So yeah, I agree with
So
that.
it's so exciting to know how other people before us try to find solution because I always say I'm not alone. Like you arrive in the planet and you think, oh, I'm alone. No, looking back, 2,000 years of history of architecture. Have a look a little bit what they done, and then you can learn something. Then you can make another step. But now sometimes we're thinking that we go in front of us. The Japanese say the past is in front of us because I can see, and the future is in the back because I can't see. So you see, and in the West world, you said the future is in front of us, but we don't see anything, and the past we don't see either. So it's a paradox of the story. Anyway,
Sounds like modernism.
Mario, I want to, this is a good segue into the school that you founded, SOS,
yeah,
School of Sustainability, which was essentially, created to train young people with tools to face this, the current, environment, right?
yeah,
From how do you use digital tools to vocational training with people from different crafts and skills, right? So talk to us a little bit about this and why this confluence of modern technology and traditional craft based construction and some of these vernacular traditions, why is it so important, and why is those the past, the journey of the past, especially some of our crafting traditions and vernacular architectural traditions and materials. Like, why is that so important? And how do you kind of marry the two, with your efforts with the School of Sustainability? And tell us a little bit about the school as well.
yeah. Well, the school was created in 2015. After traveling and making so many conferences about this sustainable architecture, which is The sustainability using too much. This world is using too much, and we lost the sense. No? But the most interesting thing is that the young architects or engineers, they're very curious, because they feel they have a problem to solve. It was not a problem when I was a student. No, we had other problem. I was always curious by vernacular architecture because when I was studying, there was an academic architecture, which is I was not so interesting. No, I was looking the past. But the young generation, they really feel they be leading the world in the next 15, 20 years, where the problems of environment problems, city problems, material, they are really will be crucial. No? So we say the school is a meeting two generation. No? We give back our knowledge, but it's a continuous knowledge. We do work and show it to them, the site work and how we work and the problem we're facing. But at the other hand, we listen what this young generation have to say, how they see the future. I mean, I see the future a completely different way they see it, because they have 60 years in front of them. They have so many goals to achieve, and what I think was a sort of a social responsibility of the office to find the moment to exchange between the new generation. And then we say, look, if you want to really do something about the environment in buildings, you need to learn a little bit how ventilations work in a building. We do a program and then say, the air move in this way. I mean, we make simulation, maybe it's simple, but you need to learn how to do it. Show you some example like Pakistani wind tower or India wind tower. Say, they make a tower. It's nice to see, beautiful, but have a meaning. Is this ventilation catch the wind in the night and then cooling the walls and then temperature drop and go up again 7 hours later, bringing maybe 4, 5, 6 degrees less than outside. You know how these things work? So I would say we want to make buildings zero emission and zero energy. What technology we make us building with zero energy? There's no technology. It's material. The way you make your wall, make the thickness, the way the ventilation of is do it. Maybe it's not enough. But if I make building that consuming 80% less energy, I think we did a fantastic work. But to do that, you need to learn. You asking to the student, what is the solar chart in your city? They don't know. They don't know the angle. Well, they're high. No, it's at 38 degrees, 75. If it's 75 and you design a window, it's not the same if it's 50 degrees. No? So why you don't learn the basic things? No, simple. Where the direction of the wind? I'm not saying that we need to design building on that, but the things basic are the fundamental is a fundament of architecture. No? Especially if the direction, because that's the point. It's not like we like to do. It's a club of people fancy about environment. No, that is the direction of the future for all humanity. So maybe we need to start to understand where we are. What is the potential of climate? What is the potential of sun, the wind, the material? If we want to reduce the impact, we maybe need to understand better what is available or what we can recycling. No, all this is a design process. That's why we try to learn to these people that come to us. Now, from the next year, this is a news I want to give to you. We be online, so we be SOS will be teaching online because there's a lot of students from India. They want to come, but then is a permission stay problems for 1 year. For political reason, they can't give you so easy a permission to study in Italy, and also it's expensive to stay in Milan for 1 year, the school. So we say we want to do a sustainable school. We must get the most possibility for many students. So it will be 6 months will be online and 3 months will be in Milan, which make a big difference for a student or young architects to stay 3 months. You don't need a visa. You have tourist visa. You stay 3 months. We do exercising together. We do some design project, and we working with the real company. Like this year's, we had a partnership with BMW, uh, it's a big company, about the sound of the city, because they're gonna do a car, electrical car, that no sound, no, is silence. You can imagine in the future there will be no the messy we have now. What will be the sound of a city? No? And city have a smell, different city, but also have different sound. This has become a sort of a DNA of Milan. Is the tram, blah 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 blah, can go the tram and the people walking and the way the trees. And in Stockholm, it's completely different. So we say we creating a sort of a igloo, no? That is recording different sound, and we want to concentrate your attention that we need to design also with your ear, not only with your eyes, but with your ear, because sound is part of our life. So we do this and this group of lads, there are 4 people, young people, and then somebody is going to work with BMW in the future, or we're working with other company about regeneration of city. Oh, we did in Gujarat, no? And the 2 girls of the group, they went to the UN for the food program to talk about the family farm, and we had a solution for some part of the Gujarat how to design a market to reducing the impact of producing ice with a generator by diesel, which is the most important and amazing impact in terms of pollution. So that's the sense of the school. Now try to find the place where we need to find solutions, and they bring back some experience. They met in companies, they make people opportunities. Because the goal in the end is not anymore an academic course they did already, and help them to find a job. Because in the next future, many office of architecture, many company, they need a green manager or sustainable manager, sustainable design architects. So we creating this kind of opportunity, job opportunity. In Europe from 2024, next year, bank, they don't give any more loan to company if they don't show in their solution of the ESG from United Nations, and they prove they really go in this direction by a real action. They don't get a loan. You don't have any more money from banks. And if you don't do that, you can't really make your business. So you need the new people, new knowledge. And that's why the school is there. It's not enough. We are only 50 students, but this is the trend, no? Then we need to find the people then really go inside of the life of companies. Also for architecture, I mean, is more and more regulation in Europe, about sustainability, performance in building code. It's not about a performance, It's about all these things together. So you need somebody have a little bit background, And I feel I will be very happy. And all the people was in SOS, they all find immediately opportunities. So what a great thing, I'm so happy.
But it's an amazing office structure that you have. With SOS, obviously you're teaching, but you're also learning, as you were saying. So that's bringing stuff into the office. You've got this R&D wing. You're working with a lot of consultants that are sort of just equally ensconced in tech and also in tradition. But my question is the challenge of this approach that you're bringing in, this approach, especially bringing craft and technology together, often to make naturally sustainable projects. But we're in a market that demands kind of practicality and efficiency and speed. But when you look at projects like Rovati, or you look at Techlab, those are things, well, maybe Techlab less so, but those are things that you don't think of speed with necessarily, or kind of, efficiency with. So how do you bring this into a more, larger scale, a more efficient scale? How do you sort of, bring this into the market? I think one example might be the furniture that you've done, that you've incorporated this. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, that was a very funny experience, because We is a company make luxury furniture, very luxury, like cost a fortune, like 300,000 euro for a sofa. No? This kind of amazing things. No? And then they come to me and say, "Oh, luxury, but we need to do something in sustainability." Say, well, yes, okay. And we propose to them to using this material, which is made by a guy in Tuscany. No, after you recycling all the plastic, no, all the bottle and everything, there's always a waste. No, is the dirty part of the story, and normally is burn or throw in the field. And this guy is collecting all this the waste of the waste. He collecting this. He's making sort of a powder, and then this kind of a powder you can use it on 3D printing machine. So we're printing this armchair, very sophisticated, no? But the structure, like you see in the picture, is made by the waste of the waste, which you mean it was the worst of the waste, and then it becomes so beautiful, no? And then it was very well crafted, and then made beautiful made. But then what I'm saying, you see, it doesn't matter the material, no? Also, the waste of the waste will become a fantastic opportunity to design an object. You don't need to explain to people then is the waste of the waste. The people watching that say, "Oh wow, beautiful texture." And they say, "Well, I made by the waste of the waste." Oh wow, no. But you don't need to tell it. No, it doesn't matter. No, it's just we like the shape and the texture of the way it's printing. Then the color is a red, is a green, is a black. And that was the idea to say then we don't need to have a preconceptual about material. No, it's the way you transform it also waste in a poetic material, and and that's it. The emotion. No, and this one is I mean I was also very surprised because we make a prototype, but then for the Salone last year they make two. No, and one was made by 3D printing, and another one was made by wood. It was a fantastic thing. And that was very comfortable, and also the material, the fabric for the pillows and the rest was made by recycling fabrics. Some come from the fruit skin. There are some orange skin, then is the waste, and then the people collecting, and they use the cellulose inside of the skin, and they make a fabric. So your discovery is a world ready to make material. They are not come anymore by oil, but by nature, from the waste of the nature. So I think this is. You don't need to explain, because if you make like this is made by this, look at that. You like it? Beautiful. Then I tell you later the story. And
All right, what
that's
is the company? Sorry, what is the company?
company is Sawari Moroni.
Okay.
They make beautiful things with Zadid, but cost a fortune. But also in this luxury, I'm not working normally in the luxury, but the guys were so funny and so nice people, and then said, we do something together, and but also in the luxury, there was a need. There are need to tell a new stories of material, and transforming a simple things in a value. This is a design. This is the main goal of the design, and that's the story. It's there are many beautiful stories about this. Very beautiful.
You talk about the technique and the material. Where was there an inspiration for that form? Is it sort of
Yeah, Tekla was
oh,
the shape.
interesting.
If you turn, it become like a little bit of dough.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
interesting.
was inspiring by Tekla, and then it became a sort of a kind of vibration all around, and
Right.
yeah, it's very comfortable. And then now they're putting a sort of a disc on the bottom, and then you can turn like a turning chair. No, it's
Oh, nice.
nice.
And
Yeah.
Tekla's initial inspiration was sort of the shape there. Obviously, you're using 3D printing, so it's inspired just by the technique, but also, I mean, I think of like beehives or also just natural.
Yeah. From
Natural.
that cactus, was inspiring. But we do other things now with in Italy there is still a tradition of the hard craft by hand. It's amazing. Like Murano glasses.
Yeah.
I designed some vase, in glass, and then I went to these people in Murano. It's in the island close to Venice, with a lot of drawings. And the guy watched me said, "Well, I don't need the drawing. He take a compass. He take two measure, tuck, tuck, and then he made himself." So he showed the knowledge of the capacity of these people watching a drawing, take two measurement, and what, because the limit of the oven, the hole on the oven is the limit of the way you make the dimension of the vase, because you put in but you can't get out. And the what make me amazing things is the knowledge of the people to using material. Glass is fluid when you need to turn all the time. If not, it's bending. No, the speed of the way they do it, the details, they moving, the things that they moving. It's fantastic. And we did some collection of vase. Also, we did with the metal, because there's an amazing tradition of different kind of metal, and the way they exactly Sawari Maroni, the way they work, and the way they make colors and acidity. And we went to all these small small company, but very high, super high knowledge, and they are working in every part of the world, because there are not too many company now able to do an handcraft of that quality. That's is the story of Italy. And so this. I'm so sometime. I mean, I'm an architect, and before I see my building, it's taking maybe 3 years or 4 years, and then it's a patient. No, you need to have a patient. You see it bit by bit. When you do design an object, you go in the workshop and they do it, and it's so fantastic. It was so exciting. Yeah.
You're very lucky in Italy to have that tradition of craft.
Yeah.
Not every place does have quite that rich of a tradition. So it's sort of like, how do you tap into what's there, and how do you sort of also amplify it? Either building a pipeline of kind of in the artisan fields, or working on it in academia. It seems to be a challenge. And sort of how do you support that sort of a culture?
Yeah, but you when we talk about the luxury in Italy, it's like a fashion. I was working for a company, the Hugo Boss, the big brand, German brand. They make shoes in Italy, because in Italy is the tradition of leather. So they make these shoes cost 2,000 euro in some little village in the middle of Italy, where people speak in dialect, drinking local wine, eating the sausage, and maybe the grandmother working in that company, then the mother, and then now the son working. The way they do a gestal to make the shoes, there are 250 years of knowledge behind. You can replace this because you go in a cheap place to do it. You can do it. You can do it, because this is DNA, And the gestal to make a shoes, is so perfect, because the lady learned from their mother, and the mother learned from the grandmother, and they talk about the shoes when they're at home, when they have a lunch. Say, "Oh, I did the shoes. Maybe you need to, you need to change a little bit." Okay. And then the next day, and then blah, 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 and they make the perfect shoes. So that's the way it's working. The economy of territory. That's Italy.
Well, yeah, I want to pick up on this thread about being inspired by nature and biomimicry and learning from nature. And I know you had a recent installation called Design with Nature,
Yeah.
where it was about. I read about it, and it was about improving people's relationship with nature, and you had mentioned, one of the kind of thoughts behind it was also um, using that approach of design with nature uh, for solutions towards materials and manufacturing
Yeah.
by using city as a mind. Could you explain that a little bit,
Yeah.
and how this approach um, helps us think through urbanization and how future cities should be built as well?
Well, Design with Nature was an installation during the Salone del Mobile, in last year. And it was the first Salone after the COVID. So the idea was to find a place, a big table where gathering people together. You can have it's a restaurant, a bar, but also was a collection of material. And the all material was on that exhibition were all come from nature, all recycling. So we thought maybe people, is busy in Salone, they can't stop. But then in reality, the curiosity of people was amazing. The people want to know. And there was like a table, like yeah, a table was made by the scale of a fish for industry. Then is a company is collecting the scale. They transform it in cellulose and they make this material. Say it doesn't smell fish, but is a recycling of a nature material. Or the company made a acoustic panel by the Micelio, which is the roots of the white mushroom. And you say, what is your company? We do mushroom. What is mushroom? No, I do acoustic panels. So, and we're searching a lot of material around the world, and then we find there are so many people they're ready on the next generation of material. Also recycling PET or make fabrics, or you reusing concrete, tile, plastic, and also fiber from skin of orange, or fake leather from mango skin. So I would say, wow, look a second, there's already a world that try to change and using material from the waste of what we're eating or from the waste of industry from food. And I think it was really an amazing surprise for many people to see that, we call about this ecological change, but its part is already start, and then they are not only startup, they're already small, medium industry. They're producing this, and there are so many fantastic examples. And then that was the exhibition to show, especially in the Salone, which is about furniture and finishes. Building is another story, just a little bit more complicated. But for furniture, finishes, walls, tables, material for the interior design, there's already a fantastic things. And then that's what we show. And we say maybe we design with nature. We're connecting ourselves and make a new material for people come from plants and or recycling. There are company now recycling 100% of tile. New tile are made by 100% of old tile. Or people make panels, wood panel, which is they never cut a tree. Is they recuperating the wood, and then they do a sort of industry process, and they make a panel. So this panel is not connecting to the green of the trees. So, and they make a lot of money too. So I said, remember there was years ago, it said planet, people, and profit. If it is not an economy around this story, it will be remain in a sort of a club. But that's not the point. The point is creating a new green economy. That's the point. I remember, just to tell you something about India. In Ahmedabad, I met an architect, a lady, because in many villages, from insulating the roof, they're using the white of the egg and the what they call in English, the hard part of a egg. They just mixing and they make a sort of a paste, and then they make the insulating for waterproofing from the roof. There was an old story, but they all made by the waste of using eggs. Me fascinating these things. The people were so genius and find this kind of a solution. And I tell you, we'll come back. We'll be come back to do these things.
Yeah, we always seem to do that. And as you said, if you study long enough, you'll find solutions that you've sort of forgotten about, which is something we need to do.
It's a sort of a cycle.
Yeah. So Mario, we're going to do the next part of the show very briefly. We're going to do what we call the quick fire. We're going to ask you a few
Okay.
quick questions, often
Okay.
that are less technical and more sort of, interesting
Okay.
and fun.
Okay.
So first question I'm going to ask you is, what is your house looks? Your studio, by the way, looks like an amazing collection of design. What is the favorite piece of furniture that you own in your house?
It's my motorbike. I know it's not very sustainable, but it's my motorbike.
Why? Why?
Because it was an old motorbike, and then I was using, it's a motorbike in 1954, and I using when I was student in Genova. And then all people went to like a super high-tech motorbike, but I went this kind of a beautiful, naked, beautiful motorbike. I love that things. And then I was around when I was in university with this very noisy machine. But I remember when there was much more fun time.
So
But
it's a history for you. It's memory,
it's a memory. Yes, yes, and it's
but the
beautiful.
design too, right?
Yes, beautiful design. I mean, just there, but it's yeah, because it is how can I say in English is a true design. So all the pieces are visible and all mechanical is make the aesthetic is become by the using how to put it together, and they become an aesthetic like a tools, a mechanical tools, no? And then become so beautiful. Nothing, no decoration is so beautiful like this. I like this kind of a true, no, of things.
Form follows
Maybe
function.
turn
That's
around
the
your
machine.
camera to show us the bike
Yeah,
because he did earlier today, so I know it's just lying around.
it's
Wow.
the red,
There it
is the
is.
red one
Wow.
there.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry by the box, but anyway,
I know you're moving, so
yeah, moving.
but
Yes.
thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to put you on a spot and ask you to choose between Milan or Venice. Which one?
Venice, all life. Venice.
Okay, that was easy.
Yeah, yeah, Venice forever.
Venice is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
love
if
that.
you in all the world, do you have a favorite public space?
Well, I'm sorry to tell you that it's in Italy. It's in Italy because the best piazza in the world, and there's so many places. I mean,
Which one?
I was very fascinating because it is really amazing thing is the Piazza di Siena. You know, in Siena, they do the Palio, no? And
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
and then there are the emotion is to go. It's a very dense city, and at the moment the square, the shape of a shell, no, it's like around like this, and it's a big palace. But and it's like a natural theater because it's fall down. But the reason why because it's collect the water of the city, then go in the piazza, and then go in a reservoir. That's that's the idea of the piazza. But then when they're full of people, it look like a theater. So it's a metaphor of the public space of Italian city, you know. And the reason why we made piazza is because first, because it was the first time that city was democratic. Because before there was no city. The city we built is to make piazza because we can talk, we can make a market, we can exchange. The value is why in some cities only one square because that was the public space in the most deep sense of the sense of public, you know. And this is really beautiful emotion, but there are so many beautiful places that I can make a. It's bit too difficult, but that's one. That's at least one is
that's,
very beautiful.
that's a great one. I think that's
I love how you described it. I could
yeah.
almost kind of, like sketch it out in my head. And
But you
talking
know,
about
in Bologna is the one grande called Piazza Grande, you know, it's big piazza. And it's amazing because this city is a crazy city because there was a long story of communist and socialist. But you see the piazza, the sun is all around. You know, in the winter time, is the shading. It's just moving. You know, and you see people moving, follow the sun. If you stay there an hour or two, you can see people talking and they're moving a little bit. They want to keep staying in the sun. No? And there's a lot of discussion, but very loud. You know, people still engage in politics and discussing about the city. Some people bring a little stool and then go up and start to make a sort of a talk, you know, and there are people gathering together. So it's really the sense of what is public space mean. You know, is using by people. It's not.
yeah.
It's not only for beauty; it's people using, and then
Yeah.
it's make the sense of a city. That's what I like it.
It's also in our DNA. We're social animals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are social animals.
It's not optional. We need it. Yeah. And we
Yeah,
learned that, I think, at the pandemic, especially how much we need it.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
But so the last part of the show, we do a little sketching. And for those listening on our podcast, we're going to post an image of the sketch that Mario
Okay.
makes. I'm
What
going to
what
sketch too, and mine's going to look horrible. Don't worry.
what you want me to sketch?
So
Anything?
I wrote down, I love what you said about the idea that buildings are culture. I think that's a great concept. So I was thinking maybe the idea of we're going to design a tower or skyscraper, which is sort of the ultimate sort of example of building as machine and like the modernity in the future, but build it incorporating craft and culture. And I'm going to let you sort of interpret what that means. But a new type of skyscraper that really incorporates craft and culture. That's the prompt.
Well, I can sketch you very quickly. I'll show you some
Yes,
highlights.
take your time. We should have
I
like
know.
Jeopardy
I do,
music.
I do quickly. I do quickly. It's
Okay. I'm going to do it too, and I have no idea what I'm going to do right now.
No, this has been a really, fun conversation, and I always enjoy the sketch sessions because it's so vividly, and I love the sketches that are produced during this segment of the webcast. And I want to, we've revived this. We've not been live for a while, and we've revived this again. And it's so. And our last conversation was with the late BB Doshi,
Yes.
who actually, and we were so lucky to speak to him. It was
Incredible.
a very meaningful conversation, and he spoke to us about the role that our community plays in the future of the world, because architecture is about, there is a social responsibility. So I think I
yeah,
really enjoyed today's conversation with Mario, because he reminded of that again, uh, you know with built environment representing culture, and the need for architects to take our role as a profession that can transform, some of the social,
yeah,
environmental challenges we're facing today. So I think this was, and I loved how you spoke about not just talking about this, but kind of creating and crafting ecosystem to deliver. Because what's the point of talking about this? Because I think our profession, has been guilty of that. Uh,
yeah. But I think we must remember one thing: we design building for the others, not for ourselves. That's
yeah,
something where sometimes, like when design schools, Now you must remember you designed school for the children, not for yourself, not to your ego make a beautiful like a museum. What?
yeah. We
Kids
we
doesn't
build it
care.
for people.
You
Yeah,
need to do something that they back home and they talk to mama and papa and say, wow, it was so beautiful. I was thinking something else. So a school is producing imagination, no? Not like something like a nice drawing for the publication. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
sketches.
yeah,
architects are not artists. They can have be
Yeah,
artful, but it's still a practical profession. They're building it for
yeah,
people for a
yeah.
reason.
I think when I and Sam were speaking about this webcast, it was during the, you know, the grief and the tragedy of the pandemic, um, and we were looking at these conversations as a way to highlight the social, um, the social obligation of the architectural professions, and how
yeah,
design can disrupt and um, craft solutions for some of the big challenges our world and humanity in general faces today. So
yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think you're
Okay,
right. No, it's okay. I'll almost finish just a second because I make
okay.
a wrong
so I
When
point.
you're
want to
finishing,
ask everyone listening to subscribe. uh, you know I we live cast this across platforms: Facebook, Instagram comes a little later. We've also started on
Thank you.
LinkedIn and YouTube. So subscribe and ask us more questions. And um, we are also going to kind of share this on the multiple podcast networks as well. But and so keep on the lookout for these important conversation on building better urban life and built environment.
So speaking of, I will start as Mario finishes up, and my important role
Yeah.
is to also make him look especially good because of my drawing is so bad. So I will start.
Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, it's like it's I'm the scene setter. So I was talking about a building as culture and craft. So my building, horribly rendered, it's a skyscraper museum. So the art is not out inside; it's outside. So these are all horribly drawn pieces of art covering the entire length of the skyscraper, so that people can enjoy art anywhere they are and look at it, and it's a symbol of the arts.
Right.
Yeah, and my artworks, I think, inside are especially good, right? Yeah, very good.
Yeah. It's great.
I'm just hoping it's people centric at the street level.
Yeah.
I make this one.
There you go.
Oh,
That's a real
wow.
drawing.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a real drawing. Yeah.
You know what this thing have in common? No, the tree in a building, they don't move. No, they don't move. No, but the tree do a lot of things. No, like well, first you make fruit, then transform CO2 in oxygen, and then creating shade. And then if you cut a tree's branch, this grow again. And the roots, they moving on the dark, but they know where they're going. So the neurology, the brain of the plants is on the roots because they know how to find material. So I say maybe our skyscraper is try to dealing with the light and the wind, like on the path. Then the roots of a building can be like find energy from the ground, maybe waters of the temperature from the ground. Then is a big window, but the building is almost opaque, like a trunk of a tree, because we want to keeping our energy in, and the light is not something against the building, but something can be absorbed, and the wind too. So maybe if we make a building which is a little bit more like a trees as a principle,
Beautiful.
we can make something nice for the future.
I love the image of that too. It clarifies things when we're talking about sustainability so crystal clearly.
Thank you so much for that beautiful vision and this really meaningful conversation. And this is really special. Thank you, Mario. And
Thank you very
hope
much.
to see you in person soon.
Yeah, hope to see your tile or your technique in India to
in the
promote
coast.
it.
Yeah, I'm going to send you some images. Thank you
please.
again. This is a great
Okay.
conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sam.
Thanks again. Thanks again, Mario, and thanks for all of our listeners and viewers. We really appreciate your tuning in again, and we're excited to do more.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much.